Hey everybody, it's Beard. It's time for a monthly shader update video. So, let's get to it. I did a lot with lighting this month, so we'll go over some of that. I made some improvements with the torchlight shadows. There's still a little bit of grain in them. I could probably work that out. But you can see like the individual blades kind of hold their shape better. Like they don't just make like a tube of shadow behind them, but the blades actually like retain like their separateness. We can revert that if the grain is a bit much. Let's see. This is what it was before. You can see they kind of like more like tubes. The majority of this video today will be done on ultra settings. We've got an FPS counter in the top. That's not entirely accurate. What I'm doing is I am trying out a frame generator. So we're capping this at 30 and trying to get it up to 60. So if you see any artifacts, like they might be from that, I generally like frame generation. Like it was part of the main draws of the 40 series for me. And I was kind of upset when it didn't work with every game. And there's one that works with Minecraft now, but I just found out about. I'll link it in the description. And I'm using it today to kind of try it out, and hopefully it's okay. But if the artifact kind of bug you, I'm sorry, and let's see. But ultra's not gonna get 50 FPS probably. But I'll do performance at the end, like a performance thing. But it's a good way to kind of show stuff where it is. So part of what I did this month was the 360-degree environmental lighting, which means that everything is like that you look at is captured as like a 360 scene, and the sky is like constantly updating. So I'll show that later. You can see that the sky has a much gentler, less like overly saturated hue too going into the sunset, because I fixed so that the ambient light from way up there comes down into this a lot better. So we're still getting like the sunset colors, but it's got like a nice gentle softness to it. I really like it. It kind of has a nice feel. I still need to adjust the actual like color that sunlight is when it hits stuff. It gets a little bit too much tint for what it looks like. Like there it should still be yellow, but here it's like red. So I need to adjust that still. I was showing the torchlight shadows. I redid some stuff on these, not only to have them be a little bit more accurate, but also to make them kind of go behind stuff better. So you can see like the bar shadows there are actually making it through. Whereas before it would have just made like a solid shadow probably behind them. And particles should probably go better too. Let's see if any lava particles pop up. That is not a shader issue, that's a sodium issue, I think. Alright, no more particles. Yep. And the torchlight shadows, as you can see them, do all kinds of PBR stuff, so they respect like the normal maps, if it's shiny and all that. So in caving you could use this to find ores and stuff out in the distance a little better. And it should get better detail than they did before. And again, you could adjust it all so that there's like a different amount of rays and stuff, so you can get like more soft edge on the shadows, if you want that. And I combined a lot of the stuff in here. Like the light should go through the fence post too. Yeah, you can see it there, through the hole. I combined a lot of the stuff that's in this into the new sun ray trace shadows. So that all these have like individual shadows too, even on a low shadow map resolution. I'm trying to see if I can kind of flip it on the edge of the screen. You can see everything like it's just really crisp shadows for every little leaf. Yeah, there we go. If you look at the absolute top of the screen, you can see some of it kind of disappear. Because right now it's just tracing it on the screen. but then I'm going to have that go into the off-screen data that's already being captured now. So for pond and stuff like that, you see you get all these little shadows. And for the grass, it just adds a lot more detail and distinction. You can see you can kind of really make out, like with the depth, the individual rays of grass. If I turn off these ray traced sun shadows, like you can see all that there. It kind of loses a lot of detail, and it kind of just mushes together. And it's got adjustments to it, so you can kind of tune the performance. How many steps it take, the range. What I'm going to do with this is make this go out into distant horizons stuff, but for now this is just for close stuff. And you can change the depth of stuff too, so that you can make shadows like be more apparent or less apparent. I think that number is pretty good to start. Okay, so the 360 environmental lighting lets us get reflections that are off screen, and also just adds to all the soft lighting. I think it really gives a good feel. It's kind of what I really wanted to do for a while, and I'm going to add more to it to make there be more like live updating of stuff off screen. Right now the sky updates off screen live, but the other stuff just waits for you to look at it. So like, I'll show it in the water. And the torchlight works with this new stuff now. It didn't work before. Let's see, I'll go into one of these places. I set up in this mansion a little reflection zone. But here we go, we can test some stuff on the water bar here. So like I said, the reflections, it does everything off screen, so you can see it's still see like that tree and stuff. I'm going to pump up the water reflectivity. As the shader refreshes, you'll see here that the sky is refreshing on a timer. That's something to save performance, because that makes it pretty much not eat any frames. Alternatively, if we go in here to the new menu for the 360 environmental lighting, which I probably need to organize some more, it's got different methods for capturing data off screen and keeping it, and then it's got all kinds of options. One of these is how many frames it takes to fill up the sky. There we go. I need to fix some of these tooltips. So right now it's taking 200 frames to refresh the sky, and by doing that it doesn't take any FPS that I could notice. So you can see we've still got clouds and stuff off screen. That stuff is off screen, and the stuff you look at like updates live. So you see like here's this tree, and it's there, but if we move sideways the reflection loses where it was, and then it updates as you look. And this is the first way I was doing it, just because it doesn't take FPS. Like this is free. And on medium, it saves it as like it uses it as like a 2D cube map pretty much. But then on like the higher settings, it ray traces through that. So I'll show inside of a place with some reflection set up how that actually keeps stuff. I actually showed that in another video very recently too. But what I didn't show was the sky updating live. And you can see the coloration on the sky is a lot bluer now too. The clouds are less yellow because of the ambient light coming down through them better. This is something that I meant it to do a long time ago, and it just had a typo. So yeah, if we go in this now, and I'll look down and I'll change the time. And you'll see it'll update even though I'm not looking at it. Which is not big of a deal, but like it took some doing to do. It does have a few problems though, because like you see things that had bright reflections on them that aren't sky are holding that light data until they're refreshed. It's got some problems, but in an average gameplay scenario, like, that's not going to happen because you don't quickly go from super bright to super dark. The closest you would be during thunderstorms, and those work with this even with the lightning flashes. I've got to adjust that fast forward stuff. We still got that 360 lighting, and it's still going to refresh enough to not like just get stuck with the lightning just like off screen, so it should still work. I also added some options to kind of restore some of the darkness of thunderstorms. I need to work on it some, because you can see in thunderstorms it gets really hazy, but it's really flooded in white, so we don't just get the puddles that we get like a full sheet of water. Those extra pixelated ripples are not my favorite. That's a mod I need to turn off. That's a vector mod. The water should have, and everything should have little, like I said, 3D ripples going into. Those are done in my favorite. So you see it's super hazy, but all the little dog rays and everything. And I added some more darkness during these thunderstorms to kind of get it back what it was before. Because before we had the environment lighting, I had these super dark spots. Maybe it's even under a shadow, it would get like extremely dark. Just kind of have that ambient for thunderstorms. We'd want to like put that torch in around. Close that. With the new environmental capture, since it's got all this off-screen lighting data, which, wow, look at that, it kind of still adds a lot of brightness because everything's wet and reflective. So I kind of needed to, I'm kind of doing some adjustments in that script. I still want there to be super dark, spooky thunderstorms, and even when the clouds are really thick, they're not quite dark enough yet. So I want to work on those some more. I also want to soften the edges on the puddles. Right now they've got soft edges on softer materials, but it's not quite as soft as I'd like it to be. So I need to work on those some more. The rain got some adjustments too. It should be between what like thunderstorms and regular looks like. So we still got a little bit more dust in the clouds and a little bit more darkness. And instead of just like a sheet of water and everything, refresh it with. You see it's more smaller colors. And I made the reflectivity of wet things go down some because with all that off-white, that off-screen lighting, it's kind of a lot more light to bounce around. It looks like I still might need to reduce that a little more because it's it might be a bit much. But overall, this I really feel like the 360 degree environmental lighting is a nice deal. Like it's gonna really make things have a look of like a render. But it does have some problems that I'm working around still because I want it to all work on like with as little of a performance impact as possible. So that's why I'm starting it from like the easy ways, then I'm kind of working my way up to like more complicated, more expensive techniques. I feel like especially on wet stuff, you really kind of see the difference it makes. Because you get just all those reflections of everything. I think what else I did this month, I made some improvements to the subsurface scattering for like a light through leaves. So that's got a lot more distinction. I separated out, we still get some deep light kind of coming through the scatters from the sun. Even through really deep bits of tree. And we got cloudy light now, so you can see like just a different dynamic when it's cloudy and you just have that scattered light instead of that direct light. As the sun comes out more, you can see kind of really scatters through. So I separated out the subsurface scattering into a few different ways it's happening, so that we get like a shallow scattering and a deep scattering. And it's more tunable, but it also gives a little bit more definition in the leaves while still having this really deep. Like you can see there's still penetration, but there's still like shading, like you could see the shading. And you can see like with the palm now, too, you get all these little soft shadows from the bounce light, and we're also getting those from the sunlight, and we're also getting that from the torchlight. So there's just a lot of different lighting going on, and it's all being really, really accurate. And I also added the stupidity of the ability to crank this from 3 light bounces all the way up to 6. And this doesn't take as much of a hit as I would think it would. And I made some adjustments to that to kind of make things still look good. So I redid a lot of the path tracing code. Yeah, it's not a struggle though. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference visually. It did at first when I first tried it, but I had some bugginess to it. And once I adjusted it to not be buggy, I think that many light bounces is probably unnecessary. You see with the way this new lighting works, I think it's good. I still need to do more work on shadows and get them working in distant horizons. You can see there's things that are kind of buggy out there. There's some shadow acne towards the edges too. We're gonna walk over here into this place and I'll show some of the lighting stuff in there. So I showed this in the demo a while ago too. And you see that's that shadow acne I was talking about, that banding. I need to fix some stuff. On the long distance shadows. I'm really kind of redoing everything on them. I'll put soft shadows into better right now. They're just kind of like 1 pixel of width on the soft shadows. But even if we go into and go indirect lighting now, but this is just a skylight, like there's no sunlight on this. That indirect light isn't quite as wet as it was before. I still got to fix the edges there. I know how to do that, I just need to do it. So to show something else I did with the off-screen lighting capture, I showed this in a video before. Show the update. And that looks a wreck, doesn't it? So there's a cloud there that's catching shadows, but the shadows aren't coming from outside of distant horizons. That's a wreck. Yeah, another part of what I did with the ambient light coming down, you can see like even in the fog down here, there's some of that blue light from the sky is down in the fog. There's also some additions that I'll show up here with the volumetric light and fog. Man, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? But one thing at a time. So I wanted to show like the reflections here. We've got like there's a sky reflection, and you see it here, and you can see on the floor reflection here too. So when I move, you can see like that's actually like maintaining some 3D space. So if I look at this and you see it here, you see it actually gets like closer and further away. But again, it's only updating what you've seen, and I'm gonna make that do better about that later. But I did add something to fix that. If you're out here just in the sky and you've got skylight all above you, you don't want that to carry on when you're in here. Like to start, it's still got skylight there, and then I've put a thing to make it kind of fade off, so that even if you don't look up to refresh that there's a ceiling, like here it's still got kind of skylight everywhere. Once you're indoors for a little bit, that's going to fade off. See, there we go. So it gets rid of the stuff. The problem with that is it's making an assumption. So you can see here, we can see sky. If I look down, it's going to kind of fade it. Because we're so far in, it's registering as us being indoors. So I'm going to add something to fix that to have the best of both. I also greatly softened the amount of light. And you see here, it's going to do that fade. There we go, the sky. But we can turn that off. Like I said, it's a workaround that's here until I do better. But it's a workaround that's free. Off, then regardless of how long we're in here, off-screen sky reflections will retain their full brightness, and it won't assume there's a ceiling because there's no skylight. But the default is have it the other way around, because otherwise if you run into a cave, there's still all this ambient light coming from above that shouldn't be there, because it doesn't know that there's no sky there anymore. Some other changes I made to this is I really softened out the diffuse lighting so things don't look as shiny, like more so than they should. So you can see here, like crisp stuff like the glass has nice crisp reflections. This stone floor is kind of really shiny, and then like the wool here is a little bit less shine. I'm just gonna grab some dirt or something. You can see that's nice, and this also has like diffuse lighting. It's not too strong. But if you have something bright off screen here, it's still contributing. Like you see that contribution there. Like none of this is sunlight, but there's still gonna be like shadows, like soft shadows from all this stuff. So that's all light coming from there. Like this is that light. So you see this dude is casting shadows. Like nice soft shadows on the wall, and those shadows are coming from that light all the way over there. I think that's kind of cool. Like, I think that's really cool, actually. So let's go up here, and I'm going to show some of the fog lighting. And again, this is without doing like a more expensive like voxelizing yet. That's kind of cool looking, isn't it? Where stuff is out of Distant Horizons range here, you can see we're getting some errors with the fog. That's stuff I've got to work out. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm showing progress and bugs. We've got the reflection captured. Like, I think it adds a lot. And especially with the soft lighting, it just has a lot of stuff. There's the handoff between the two, like screen space to off screen. You can see it's kind of got some problems I need to work out still. Yeah, let's get up here. And we can see we've got light leaks because Distant Horizons isn't casting shadows here yet. So there's a lot of problems with that going on. I might need to up the chunk distance here to kind of But up in this area, it's generally going to be like a little foggy when I've tested in here before. And the fog already has a thing where it kind of scatters light and blurs it a little bit. But there's something I added a while ago and didn't do much with. I think sometimes looks good. So I'm going to show that real quick because I haven't shown it in a long time. That's in the fog. We've got this ambient lighting. Just kind of crank it up. And what it does, and right now it shifts when you move the camera. I'm only doing one sample for it. It needs to have more samples. You can see around light sources. And then I refresh the shader indoors. It changes to outdoors. So you get all this nice lighting off of light sources in the fog. I think that's a nice really soft look to everything. And when the fog is kind of intermittent, you really kind of see it. Like I said, right now it's really low sample, so it doesn't look that great with movement. But like that's easy to fix. And it's pretty much a free effect. You get that nice little lighting up of the fog, the light sources and everything. And I'll make it not be as shifty. That fog banding needs a lot of work first. So yeah, but when this has better compatibility with movement, I think it'll really add a lot. But what's cool about it, I think, is that it's not requiring like voxelization. It's still defaulted off. We must have had like a thick cloud move through here. That's kind of cool. Put that back on. See how it looks again. Yeah, it adds a nice, soft, gentle glow to everything. Where there's fog like this. I kind of like it. But it also just kind of looks like a bloom and it's got some problems. That's why it's defaulted off. But I'll probably do more work on it. Because again, I'm trying to keep some good performance options in here for stuff. Because normally that's an effect that you only get with like 3D voxel capture and stuff, which is kind of expensive. But it adds a lot out here too. It might be hard to see. But like there's little ways it just kind of enhances the fog. Because all that light that's just in the scene kind of catches on it more. There's still water banding problems. I also updated the Patrix lighting to just have like an infinite range on the bounces and ambient occlusion, which really gives us better scenes than we had before. Let's see, maybe I could share it right here. Before we were running on this lighting, and it just kind of looks a lot flatter. I mean, there's some cloud shadow there though. There's also here in case someone just really like that. There's certain scenes that would really show up. I'm trying to think what one is. That frame generation has a bad time when you're in menus though. Now see with this you can see the ambient light and fog doing its stuff right here too. So you can really kind of see how it's kind of blowing out the sand, but it's catching all that light off the stuff in the distance there on that fog as that fog rolled through. But watch if I turn that off. So here we've got all this kind of light in the fog with that really soft look. And see if I turn that off, the fog is still blurring stuff, but it doesn't have that softness to it. Like I said, it's off because it has a few problems. The ones that just looks like bloom. Like when you're in fog, it looks like just extra bloom. But I feel like it helps sell the idea that you're in fog too. Water is still water, so it's got algae and it's got not algae, and it still has some banding issues to work out. I think the lighting is unparalleled. Like, I don't think you're going to get lighting like this in any other shader. But it still has banding problems. And the Distant Horizons water isn't working right now. I broke it. So and I'm trying to work on speeding up the clouds too. But it's one thing at a time. The ambient fog lighting probably does something in the water too. But it looks like it kind of blows out the exposure limits. I'm going to have to raise the exposure limits because I want that to be an option. I'll turn it back off. Did I turn it off? I guess this sand is just extremely bright. I'm used to doing my sand. This is the Patrix sand. I thought there was like animations and stuff. There we go. You just see like the PBR material is really kind of show off Alright, so I guess that's enough of a tour of stuff and like kind of the features of what's been going on. I'm gonna turn off the framegen now, and let's do a resource pack test. We'll do it without the add-ons. And let me turn off the framegen. So this should now be without framegen or scaling. So an ultra, a 1080p with Distant Horizons with however many chunks this actually has captured. Oh, I've got a cap on here, hold on. I doubt this will make that much of a difference. Okay, ultra 1080p native getting 18 frames a second. That's bad. Medium subtle. Let's see if that matches up. Yeah, that matches. For fun, because if we're doing performance, I imagine most people aren't going to be playing like that. See, I've got the 32x version on here somewhere. Okay, so what's that difference there? And that's the difference that 128 versus 32 makes. Like if a resource pack makes a difference, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of ugly though. This is an old version, so it's missing grass. That's not Patrick's fault. That's my fault. Just like 82. $74. So yeah, that's significant. So I guess add that number to whatever I show here. So 80, 90, 70. That's kind of all over the place. Then going to high, it looks like we kind of halved that. My goal was to have high be at 60, so I need to adjust some of that. Okay, high we're getting 38. This is a bad scene. I'm on the modded stuff here that doesn't have textures. I kind of want to be in a prettier spot that's got better grains than just like swamp grain. But I mean, it is what it is. I've been spending too long on this video already. Ultra 13, 12. Getting through menus is a pain now. I mean, I was gonna skip to cook an egg. Cinematic is close enough. Okay, so cook an egg here at 1080p on a 4090 with all this stuff is struggling to get 12 FPS. But I'm gonna show you something really cool. We're gonna add on all the extra heavy Patrix stuff. The bonus ones is for stuff I don't even know what that is. Non-vanilla friendly. So I'm assuming we don't have those blocks. Okay, we're gonna put this down to like 30 base frames, and then we're gonna use frame generation. And then we're at 50 frames a second. I'm cooking it. So this is using frame generation and a little bit of upscaling. And we can adjust the size of the window. Like if we shrink it, we're going to get a little bit more pixelated, but we'll get more frames. Realistically, I would say if you wanted to do this, like maybe do ultra, not cook an egg, like up to you. And try to play around with what works best for you. But I really like this app. So we were going from okay, so here on max settings at 1080p, not max settings because I mean it can go higher, but like a lot higher. Here we get 11 frames a second. If I turn on frame generation, it can't really do much because the system's capped out. But if I shrink the window to where it's got overhead, then suddenly now we're running at 60 frames a second. Which is something I just think is incredibly cool. Because when I got a 40 series card, the big selling point for me was the frame generation. And then when I got it, I got really upset to find out that, oh, this game doesn't support DLSS 3, or that game doesn't support DLSS 3. And I was like, well, what the crap? You know, like, I figured this was a feature you just put on everything. Because I use SVP, the Smooth Video Project, for movies. And it can upscale the motion more than DLSS. Like, it can go from 24 FPS to like 120. It doesn't care. And it does have some artifacts, you know, but it does it. And it does it generally pretty good. So when I found out that frame generation doesn't default work on everything. That really sucked. So then getting it to work here on any app you want to feels good. And it doesn't require a 40 series card. Like, as far as I know, you can use it on all different stuff because you can choose scaling types, and you can choose the frame generation is its own thing. I don't know if this needs an RTX card. It might, but it doesn't require a 40 series as far as I know. I don't know. What I do know is it lets me run these shader settings instead of at 11 FPS at like 60 FPS. Probably go higher. Whereas before, like, I'd have to be on like medium. I mean, with that, we can leave frame generation on still if I want to, and pump this to like 60, like leave it at 60, and then have it run it up to 120. And that's like 3 double frames. You know, like my computer's doing less to get 120 frames. Like, let's see, if I turn off frame generation and cap this all the way, getting 75. So anyone who likes to push the limit of their computer, I really recommend this program, Lossless Scaling. It's on Steam. It's like $7. Considering the cost of a GPU, I think that a $7 100% performance boost is definitely worth it. So I recommend this to everybody. I'll probably make a short video about this to actually like show it on its own better. But I really like what it can do. Do you want to do this to like, let's say 40 native? So there it's struggling, but it's always getting up to 60. I'm getting tired of these wet areas though, they all look wet. So if anyone's interested in that app, like, check it out. Like, I highly recommend it so far. I've only played with it with Minecraft, but I really like what it does. I hear a weird sound.